Hi, I'm here with Peter Mitchell, CEO of the Asian Public Real Estate Association. Peter, can you start by giving us just a brief overview of the Asian public real estate markets?
Sure, Matt. The Asian public real estate markets are really dominated by Japan and Singapore. We're excluding Australia in this commentary. They account for about 80% of the market capitalisation of REITs in the region. There are also major operating companies, of course, operating principally out of China, Hong Kong and Singapore. The REIT markets have been, despite what's happened over the last year, have been a great success, the first having launched on the 10th of September 2001, very inauspicious day, and but have grown from that to almost 90 billion US in market cap prior to the global financial crisis settling in, and probably tanked to about half of that in the black days of early 2009, but are back up almost to around 70 billion.
Great. A major trend in the U.S. has been the re-equitization of the public real estate companies. Mm-hmm. Are you seeing the same thing in some of the Asian markets?
Yes, in Singapore in particular, where there have been a number of capital raisings this year. I think around about 4 billion Singapore dollars was due to be refinanced this year out of a total of 20 in the market overall, and that's largely been taken care of. Less so in Japan. I think there are plans for one capital raising getting moving in Japan, but the Japanese REIT market is really showing not as much recovery and turnaround as the Singapore REIT market has.
And I know it's obviously difficult to generalize across so many varied markets, but what are some of the major themes that may cut across the various regions in 2010?
In the REIT markets, I think recapitalisation will continue. I think, as I've been hearing today at the convention, that's something that's going to be with us again next year, and I think the same thing in Asia. I think one of the other themes in Asia will be, in particular, developing a better capital management toolkit. The REITs tend to be regulated differently from companies, unlike the States. And part of that different regulation means that there are certain things that REITs can't do that operating companies can do. For example, in Japan, they can't issue convertible bonds, they can't buy back their own shares. So we've put a big submission into the Japanese authorities, which I think has been received quite favourably, about expanding that capital management toolkit to put them more on a par with operating companies. And I think the other thing that we'll see, particularly in Japan, will be some consolidation activity. You know, there are 41 REITs there. One REIT has gone insolvent during the course of 2009, and there are many REITs there that just are liquid, small, not on analyst radar screens, nowhere to go. And there is, acceptance in Japan that something needs to be done to regenerate the market and see some of those REITs acquired or merged.
Now, where does China stand in all of this? From the United States perspective, we keep hearing a lot about Chinese REITs and what may happen. What can you give us the update?
Yeah, look, it's hard to say. All we can say is that REITs in some form will happen in China probably sooner rather than later. I think that they're likely to be domestic products. I think that individual investors and local institutions, I think, are being targeted as the people and organisations to invest in Chinese REITs. I'm not sure that Chinese REITs initially, at least, will have all of the characteristics that that global investors would recognise and look for. But it's probable, certainly in the early stages, that foreign investors won't have the opportunity to invest in these products. But again, also, in addition to having a regulation, there needs to be a supporting infrastructure that investors are satisfied with to encourage them to invest. For example, acceptable valuation standards. And I think for that reason, it will be some time before a REIT market that is freely invested in by the global investor community will occur.
Peter, thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt.
For REIT.com, I'm Matt Bishar.